In almost every race in the world, the rules are simple. The faster you go, the sooner you cross the finish line. If you push through the pain, you get to stop sooner. But cycling has an event called the hour record, and it works completely differently. No matter how hard you push, no matter how fast you pedal, you cannot leave the track until exactly 60 minutes have passed. You cannot speed up the clock. And you spend that hour riding on a velodrome. This is a steeply banked wooden track that forces you to ride at an extreme angle just to stay upright. This brings us to Peter Megdal. Peter is a scientist in his 60s and a heart disease survivor. And when he lined up to attempt this grueling 60-minute test, he was only 3 weeks out from a severe case of COVID. Peter was entering a psychological battle of survival against a timer that simply refuses to move any faster. Peter chose a very specific location for his attempt, a track in Aguascalientes, Mexico. It sits at a very high altitude, which means the air is thin and allows for incredibly high speeds. But those speeds come with a catch. The curves of this track are built with a severe 40% incline. It looks like a wooden wall. When you ride at top speed on a slope that steep, the track acts like a giant centrifuge. The physics of riding in a circle pull you outward and push you hard down into the wood. The faster you pedal, the harder you are pressed down. The track literally uses your own speed as a weight against your body. To make things harder, the rules of the hour record strictly limit what you can do on the bike. Once the starting gun fires, you are not allowed to eat or drink anything. Knowing this, Peter had to carefully prep his body in the final moments before the race. He packed his stomach with exactly 3 grams of sodium and high-calorie energy gels to give his muscles enough fuel to survive. Then there is the technology blackout. Riders are forbidden from looking at heart rate monitors, power meters, or any digital screens. Peter couldn't check a dashboard to see how hard his body was working. This animated diagram shows exactly what Peter was facing. His body's energy is like a fuel tank that has to be drained at a perfectly steady rate over exactly 1 hour. His only feedback was listening to his coach shout out lap times as he rode past. You cannot power through this event with brute strength. Peter had to solve a complex biological math equation in real time, relying on nothing but the physical sensation in his legs and lungs. At the 30-minute mark, the reality of his illness caught up with him. Fatigue set in quickly, and his COVID-weakened lungs began to burn. This diagram illustrates the physical toll of the banked curve. Centrifugal force effectively doubled Peter's body weight, creating a relentless 2G pressure concentrated entirely onto his bicycle seat. To relieve the agonizing pain, he made constant micro-adjustments, gently lifting off the saddle every lap. Halfway through the hour, the main problem was no longer maintaining his speed. It was simply finding a way to tolerate the physical trauma. With 15 minutes left, Peter reached a breaking point. He was ahead of his target pace for a national record, but his body was failing. He had to make a choice, and he decided to push harder. This chart shows oxygen debt. Pushing energy demands past what your lungs can supply creates an expanding, shaded zone. As this area surges toward the 60-minute mark, it guarantees pain will increase rapidly before the clock runs out. Entering oxygen debt turned those final minutes into pure psychological torture. The last 5 minutes are so agonizing that they play tricks on the mind. The pain is so severe that even world champion professionals have admitted they secretly pray for a flat tire just to have an excuse to stop. But the clock doesn't care. There is no early exit. He had to keep moving. When the timer finally ticked past the 60-minute mark, Peter felt a massive wave of pure, overwhelming relief. When the final distances were tallied, Peter had defied his age, his recent illness, and the laws of physics. He broke his own national record by more than half a kilometer. The hour record tests exactly what a person is made of. It requires a perfect balance, pitting fragile human biology against the strict, uncompromising laws of physics and time.